Hello everyone. So I'm back with the next set of clues for the story that I'm going to do. If you see this photograph here, that this is personally taken, I am actually moving on to the blue Mediterranean seas. This could be. This could be just take the scene in context of the story. Yes, and out there near the horizon you see the white sail and a boat, right? Can you see it? Great. Now you have another picture as a kind of a, clue again for you all, which is this one here. This is original photograph of the Gulf of Naples. Yeah. Now the clues are becoming hotter. Yes, you know what the story is. Yes, I know. Most of you have guessed it by now. Yes, I'm talking of Salvatore. I thought the oregano would be a giveaway. Those who have, quite a few have. Uh, I got the best compliment when one of you said that this could be quality because it's quality cooking. I'm thrilled. Thank you for the compliment. But it is. It is Salvatore, and this is the original photograph of the Gulf of Naples, and you can imagine the setting of the story. I'm sort of giving you a feel of the setting of the story. This actually is very close to Naples, Spezia, and if you know Ischia, that is the place that is mentioned in the story. And this, if you see this little boat going by, these are the places that uh, I had captured with my own camera. Beautiful sights, and there is one more, which is, I guess, the final one that I have in this selection, and that is the Grand Marina. This is the photograph of the Grand Marina, which is again, this is a modern, of course. I mean, this is a few years ago, and this is Grand Marina, and this is where part of the story is set, right? So, we are all set for today's discussion, so I don't need this laptop anymore. Now you focus on my work here, and we start off with Salvatore. Yes, Somerset Maugham. For those who have read the story, uh, any of his other stories, you know, they are absolutely strong emotions. They are character based, social backdrop, characters from different parts of the world, and the very important thing is, which is always highlighted and which is the most positive aspect of Somerset Maugham, is his firm belief in the inherent goodness in man. And probably that is the concept that is so beautifully depicted through this story, Salvatore. Yes, and you know the. Please take out page 6. I would prefer you to have your text with you because it makes it easier for us to refer to different aspects of the story. So, what you need to know in the very beginning is, it is perhaps, it's a kind of a parable. You know what are parables? I mean, you've read through parables all your life, where you have a ethical um, um, theme that is being brought about. You have a story with a sense of moral purpose. You know, especially it becomes very important in a cutthroat competitive world that we are living in. Very difficult for us to even um, comprehend about how far we can see goodness within in each human being that we meet. So, uh, from the title itself, Salvatore, it's very clear it is based on a story. You see, we are not talking of King Lear. We are not talking of Hamlet. We are not talking of Henry V. We are not talking of a historical hero. We are not talking of Wajid Ali Shah, we are not talking of Akbar or Ashoka. We are talking of a very simple human being, right? And that's why probably when you write a story about a simple human being, you, I mean, Somerset Maugham had this doubt as well. We wonder why, after so many years, he still had the doubt, and that is so reflected in the story. Uh, the first line, I would like you to read the very first line. It stands by itself, and that is, there's a definite purpose to it, right? So the first line says, I wonder if I can do it. I would expect you, please do underline that phrase. That, you see, it stands by itself. That has a sense of purpose, right? Definitely has a sense of purpose. I wonder if I can do it. If I can do what? Yes. Uh, he leaves it at that, and that is the question which I would like you all to ask yourself. What is he wanting to do? Uh, and the answer to this you will get at the very end of the story. So keep this in mind. I wonder if I can do it. Yes, probably. So uh, create a character, and each time when you read the story, you know that you must highlight all that you feel is important in context of Salvatore. Now if you look at the setting, it is the little Italian. I just shown you the some of the photographs, and this is a setting, Italian setting, a small fishing hamlet. Yes. And when the story begins, you have a young boy. So you have these key characteristics of, you need to know the descriptive qualities of Salvatore. So he's a boy of 15. Yes. I knew Salvatore first when he was a boy of 15. So that is the introduction. And every time you find details about Salvatore, you find them so positive. Yes. Pleasant face, laughing mouth, carefree eyes. What do these qualities indicate? A pleasant face. There no something that will always leave a smile. Yes, very calm. Laughing mouth. So it's a kind of a mouth that you always feel there's a smile hidden behind it. And carefree eyes. No worry in the world. Happy with whatever there is. Yes. And look at the way he's whiling away time. Yes. He just spends his morning lying on the beach, brown body as thin as rail. So you also come to know that he's thin. Probably not that hefty, strong boy that you're dreaming of a fisherman. No, he isn't. He's thin, but see, the thin is not negative, but he's full of grace. Oh, how do you associate grace with a young boy? Yes, swimming, right? You're talking about an Italian seaside, right? So the grace of a swimmer. You think of what Michael Phelps, yes, or Ramrod's tip. I mean, they are absolutely carved like a Greek god. Yes, and the swimming makes, one of the best forms of exercise, keeps you fit and healthy, and he was in and out of the sea all the time. Uh, Clumsy, effortless stroke common to fisher boys, but then they didn't learn the art of swimming like many of us do. Jumped into the water, paddled around, came back, jumped back, but kept fit. Yes, that is important, and that's why was very healthy. And then little descriptions again of a young boy when he never wore shoes. Yes, because I mean you're near the water, you don't wear shoes. Yes, and then you also get to know about his backdrop. His father was uh, who owned a little vineyard, right? And uh, and also you get to know that from the very beginning, the first instance to show the kind of person Salvatore is, apart from pleasant face, laughing mouth, and carefree eyes, you get to know a very important point in the second paragraph, and that is he acted as a nursemaid to his two younger brothers. So he looked after them. He was a very caring sibling. Yes, he really looked after his younger brothers. Uh, if keeping a close eye on them if they were out into the sea, so that they won't go too far and they will not be caught by the currents. He also used to dress them up, and and one very important facet of their lives is very clear here, for the frugal midday meal. The frugal word here indicates the kind of, naturally, a fisherman, right? They are not steeped in luxury. It's a very frugal life that they lead, but yet carefree, happy. That is the demeanor that is kept in mind. So you begin the you have a picture of this young boy. You can imagine the kind of um, fellow he would be. Yes. uh, the next part of the story, when he's talking about the southern parts. Now the southern parts is, I mean, you are talking about Italy, southern part. That's why I showed you the the Gulf of Naples, Malfi Coast, Gulf of Naples, and then Spezia a little further on, and then you have the cliffs there of Ischia. Yes, so southern here is, talking of geography, is near Naples. Yes, like any young Italian, when you think of Italy, you think of Italians, you think of Casanova, you think about romance, you think about music, you think about carefree attitude. Yes, of course, in the present times, we are also thinking of Corona, but let's not think about it now. We are thinking of happy times. Yes, so Casanova, like, so as he grew up, immediately, as any young boy, he fell in love. And he fell in love with a girl who is to live, very important, in the Grand Marina. So any seaside, or if you go to a hill resort, the in the hill resort, the mall is the most important part of where the the rich and the bold and the beautiful, if I may call them so, live. So for the seaside, it is the Grand Marina, next to the seashore, overlooking the shore, where they have these houses for the well-to-do. Yes, and the pretty girl who lived on the Grand Marina. So immediately there is a divide that is introduced here. So he fell in love with this girl. Yes, and then there's a description, and it again, you see the extreme, like everything here in Somerset Maugham's story is so positive, and it's all in the probably a kind of exaggeration here, when talking about her eyes, which were like forest pools, and a very deep simile here, held herself like a daughter of Caesars. So held herself like a daughter of Caesars indicate that she thought of herself as of a very high standing. So does it mean that she looked down on Salvatore? But Salvatore, remember, was a young, pleasant looking, handsome Italian boy. So somebody this young girl was attracted to, but she had an air about her because she belonged to the rich and the wealthy there. Yes, they did get, they were engaged, and but remember, there is a clause for every young man in Italy that they have to serve the army. So marriage was not possible till Salvatore would uh, serve his time in the army and then get back and get married. So that is, and naturally, for a young boy from the seashore, he became a sailor in the navy. And there is a reference to King Victor Emmanuel. Victor Emmanuel was the king of Italy about 1900 to 1946. That was a period of time. But he did not want to go, and it's given he wept like a child. He didn't want to go. He wanted to stay back. He wanted to enjoy. He loved. Probably is the only time when you'll find that he's weeping for something that he doesn't want to do. He was sort of took everything, very blasé about everything. He took everything in his stride, but he really didn't want to go. Yes, it was hard for the one, and the reason is very important. It was hard for the one. I'm on page 6. who had never been less free than the birds to be at the beck and call of others, it was harder still to live in a battleship with strangers instead of in a little white cottage among the vines. Yes. So the contrast in the setting from where he was to where he had to go, the openness, the freedom in the lap of nature, among the vines, the vineyard that his father owned, and uh, from there into this entire closed atmosphere of a submarine, surrounded by people that you had you've never known before. Yes, so from that openness, the free air, the free surroundings, the streets, the roads, the entire the cliffs that he used to climb up and down, to again restricted to this kind of a place that he was in. So the contrast in setting uh, was was is highlighted here. Yes, uh, for him, there are references on the next page, on page 7. There are references to how he would look at the different sites, and here Somerset Maugham has given us beautiful images of Mount Vesuvius, about the description of the dawn. Why is he giving a description of all these beautiful places? Because he this was a part of his existence, and probably he used to look at it but not value it as much as he is thinking about it now when he's in a closed submarine. So you see, the worth of something always is enhanced when you don't have it. Many a times when you have too much of everything, you don't realize its worth. So probably the beauty of Mount Vesuvius, the Gulf of the island of Ischia, the Gulf of Naples, the beautiful sunset, sunrise, the colors, now when he was caught in that submarine, was of more value to him. Right? Okay. Now, but what he was missing there, what he was missing the most was being away from his beloved, right? So he wrote to her in his childlike handwriting long, ill spelt letters. So you see, it also shows that he was not that kind of educated uh, chap that we are looking at. Yes, yes, fisherman, son, working in the vineyard, not much of education, but honest, lively, pleasant, carefree, happy. Yes. Then there are a series of places that are given where he went. Yes, he went to Spezia, again an island. From there to Venice, to Bari. We have different, those who know the little bit about Italy, different states, and finally to China. Yes, God, this is uncanny, uh, because the point of time in history that we are in, we have we had a movement of the epidemic from China to Italy, and here is Salvatore who is moving from Italy to China. Yes, sorry to make this connection, but I couldn't help it. All right, so, and to make this more painful, he fell ill in China. Yes. Again, sorry for the connection. He fell in, and it was a mysterious ailment. It was a mysterious ailment, talking about the present times. And but what is important is, because see, it was a foreign land, he didn't know anybody, and he came down, but the qualities is what you're going to highlight. He bore it with the mute and uncomprehending patience of a dog. Patience of a dog, quietly, bearing all the pain, no complaints, no crying. Yes. Then he learnt it was a form of rheumatism. Rheumatism that does not allow anybody to be in the army. Anybody else would be distraught. He was thrilled. Why? Because now he would be sent back home, and that is what he was waiting for. he was waiting to go back home, right? So, so the minute he got to know he had rheumatism, which actually would sadden any other person, yes, that to have rheumatism so early in one's life, his heart exulted. He was joyous, rejoiced at it, because though the doctor kept telling him that it was something that it was there for life, he would not recover, for him it did not matter. He was going home. He was going back to the girl he was affianced to. Yes, he was going back to the island that he so loved and the girl who was waiting for him there. So, that part, the first part of the introduction is uh, the description of Salvatore, the change in setting, and then when it's finally we come to know that he has to come back because of rheumatism, right? So the first part of the story ends here. The next part starts when he comes back, and naturally, what do you think he's waiting? He's waiting to reach home and meet his folks and meet the girl that he wishes to marry, right? So he saw his father, mother, everybody standing, but the girl was not there, and that's important. He did not see the girl, he could not see her. Yes, and Italians, like Indians, are very emotional, so there was a lot of hugging and exchange of kisses and jumping up the steps in rejoicing the coming back of the son, and every time he asked his mother where the girl was, there was no reply. Yes, and that gives us a doubt that something has gone wrong there. Yes, something has gone wrong there. Yes. So his mother told him that she did not know. It's a clear indication that probably she did not want to tell him much. Yes, they had not seen her for 2 or 3 weeks, right? And then, so in the evening, he decides to go and meet her at her home. Yes, and she was sitting on the doorstep with her mother. He was a little shy because he had not seen her for so long. He asked her if he had not received the letter that he had written to her to say that he was coming home, because he was wondering why she was not there to greet him. Yes, they had received the letter, and they had been told by another of the island boys that he was ill. So you see, what is the main point that they mention? You see, yes, they knew about it, but he was told that he was not well, that he had rheumatism. He was afflicted with a strange ailment. Yes, uh, and the boy said, yes, wasn't. So what did Salvatore say? Isn't it a good luck for me? So what if I'm ill? I'm back home. Yes, again, the positives. Yes, I'm back home. Yes. Oh, but they are repeating the same thought. Oh, but they heard that he's never going to get well again. He will never be like his old self. Yes. Uh, but what did he say? The doctors knew very little. He was home and he knew that home is where he would get better. He would recover. That is very sure about it. Why do you think Somerset Maugham has given such details? He's building it up to something that least expected is about to happen, because the mother nudged the girl. So you see, this entire act of nudging the girl means there's something that they had decided. The family had decided together, and so the mother was egging her daughter to share whatever their decision was. Yes. And she said it very bluntly, no mincing of words, that she could not marry a man who would never be strong enough to work like a man. Parents would not give consent. He had rheumatism, and rheumatism means it affects the limbs. Yes, it you are not as strong, you're not as healthy, you cannot do very difficult chores. Yes, heavy work becomes difficult. At times there's so much of pain that you can hardly move out of bed. He said, no, My parents, my father would not consent to my marrying a man who is half a man. Yes. Uh, what do you think would happen to anybody in such a circumstance? In such a circumstance, when you get to hear that your engagement is off, and all through you've only been thinking about getting back home because you want to be with the girl you are going to get married. What happens? What do you think his mental condition would be? Shattered, right? He would end up being I know, if you're looking at something very dramatic, he would be suicidal. He would be, I'm thinking of Bollywood. He would be like a Devdas, drinking away his woes and uh, screaming and crying, all those extreme kind of reaction. But Salvatore is different. Yes. So when Salvatore went home, he found that they all knew. The girl's father had been to tell them what they had decided, but they had lacked the courage to tell him themselves. Naturally, he's coming back home from the war with rheumatism. How can they break the news to him? But the most important statement in this paragraph on page 8, second paragraph, he was terribly unhappy, but he did not blame the girl. He was unhappy, but he said, fine, I don't blame her. Remember, we don't have any names given to any of the other characters except, till now, except Salvatore, right? So the other girl is gone. It's just the other girl whom he was uh, engaged to, right? He did not blame the girl. A fisherman's life is hard and it needs strength and endurance. So, the acceptance that Salvatore displays here of him not being the man he used to be, he has accepted it. The sense of acceptance and going on with life, that is a characteristic of a very positive, open-minded individual. Yes, I've accepted it. I don't have the strength. I do not have the endurance of because a fisherman's life is very hard, and I don't think I will be able to lead that kind of life. Yes, and she is from a rich family, so how could he afford to look after and maintain a girl of that standing? Yes, his smile was very sad. There was still a smile, but there was no. The smile did not reach the eyes. The smile was one of, again, acceptance, of accepting what life has thrown at you. Fine, I'll take it as it comes. Yes. His smile was very sad, and his eyes had the look of a dog that has been beaten. Yes. So you see, you got a reference to the dog coming again and again. Dog who has been beaten. Why dog? Somebody who's mute, doesn't express. But from his eyes, you realize that he's succumbed to what fate had store for him. He has accepted what is fated for him. Yes. But he did not complain. He was sad, no complaints. He never said a hard word of the girl he had loved. A very important facet of the character. Nobody to blame. It's not the girl's fault. What is the first thing that one does when something goes wrong? One tries to look at whose fault it was. Yes. Here, what did Salvatore do? He said, no, I am not fit enough. Not the kind of man I used to be. She has every right to refuse me. Her father has every right to say no to this marriage because I may not be able to maintain her the way she has lived her life. So he allows himself to move on. That is another quality. Acceptance of what fate has not wallowing in self-pity, but moving on, accepting the what life has designed for him and moving on. So moving on here is very important. So naturally, as any traditional family, uh, the mother uh, wanted her son to settle down, right? So as months rolled by, she started uh, looking out for somebody who would make a fitting wife for Salvatore, right? Life has to go on, right? So that's how it goes on. She finds a girl, young woman of the village, whose name is Asanta. You have the second name now, important character, hence the name. You have the name Asanta. And when the mother suggests to Salvatore the name of Asanta, probably there's a first reaction is something which is very natural for a young boy. She's as ugly as a devil. God, she's not good looking. Now it's very natural, right? If you don't know a person, what's the first thing that you will react to? The way the person looks, the outward appearance. I said, well, she's not good looking. She's as ugly as the devil. First reaction. A very young man, not schooled, not speaking straight from the heart. I don't like her. She's ugly. Yes. She was older than he, 24 or 25, and she had been engaged to a man who had been killed in Africa. There's something which was, she also has faced a lot of tragedy. Yes. So there's something common between Salvatore and Asanta. Asanta was also engaged to get married to a man who, before, naturally, he had also gone to serve the army before his marriage, like Salvatore had to do, but he passed away. So she was somebody who is also probably at this point in time wanting to settle down, yes, and but she is slightly older than him, not much. She had a little money of her own, and if Salvatore married her, she could buy him a boat of his own, and they could take a vineyard, and that by happy chance happened at that moment to be without a tenant. So you see, probably the stars were all set where it had to be. So she had money. So the girl's side was giving the dowry. She had a boat of her own. She had and she had money, so they could invest in a vineyard, because at that point in time there was one that was without a tenant, so it was something that was readily available, right? And different reasons why marriage would work. Yes, you're looking at the economic front, right? You're not looking at the romantic aspect of bringing the two people together. The mother was talking more about how stable their life would be if they got married. Yes, so they meet. Yes, uh, Asanta had seen him earlier, and she really liked Salvatore as strong as, and had fallen in love with him. That's mentioned. Page 9, page 9, the third line from the top. She had fallen in love with him. Salvatore smiled his sweet smile and said he would think about it. The sweet smile, the pleasant smile, the carefree smile tells you a lot about the kind of person he is. Yes. So they meet on a Sunday, yes, near the church, and he placed himself so that he could have a good look at the young woman. When he came down again, he told his mother that he was willing. Acceptance again. So you had acceptance on page 8 when he accepted the fact that he was not the same man who went to the army who came back. So accepted what fate had in store for him, accepted that this girl uh, was not destined to marry him, One acceptance. The second acceptance is here, which is okay, fine. Yes. For somebody who had said, well, she's ugly as the devil, he did change his mind very soon. Because this year you're talking of somebody who is probably the heart is in the right place. He told his mother that he was willing. Probably the fact that she also went through the same pain as he did had struck a chord. Probably. Let's think of all probabilities, because we will end at this juncture for today, where the second part of the narrative is over. The first part was the army, second part was coming back, rejection, and then acceptance by Asanta. That's where we stop, page 9, at the end of the first paragraph. I shall see you very soon for the concluding discussion and the questions, right? Till then, I hope some of you have tried the recipe that I had put up. Of course, oregano being a giveaway, I had to, and that baked naan that I gave is kind of like the pita bread, right? Dry, and usually naans are in India made of maida, white flour. I made it with wheat flour to make it more rustic. Yes, to keep that rustic atmosphere uh, of the story, and definitely the use of oregano and garlic and lime in the dip. Uh, I thought would be a giveaway. Uh, I didn't want to make a spaghetti or a pasta, which, I mean, there's nothing left to the imagination. Here, at least, some of you did think of what the story is, right? Do try out. I do ask your parents at home also. It's a very easy recipe, something to do together. You can help your mother or father, whoever is working in the kitchen at that point in time, to cook and enjoy a meal and think about Salvatore. Till I see you again, stay safe. Good night.